Hey y'all. So I said I was going to go out and get in the middle of my day, but my day really started with I had to clean my carpets, and this is my carpet cleaning shirt because my little doglet, my little darling precious baby, just pisses on everything. So, by the way, you don't need Resolve. This is what I do. I've tripped and pulled a 10 chocolate pies, Franzia everywhere, and I have white carpets. And you don't need that Resolve stuff. You not need $5 carpet cleaner. This is what I use. You just get yourself a cup of hydrogen peroxide, 2 for $1 at the damn dollar store, a little drop of dish detergent. It'll get blood out. I sliced the ham out of my foot a couple of months ago. It got blood out when I was running to the bathroom to wash it off. It got the Franzia out, and it gets dog piss out because you don't want to use ammonium to clean dog piss because why would you clean ammonium with ammonium? So this covers it up. So hydrogen peroxide, 1 cup, dishwashing liquid, and while I was performing this Zen task of cleaning all that up, I started thinking about scandals, John Edwards, and then John Edwards lent itself to Anthony Weiner. And this is the biggest mistake Anthony Weiner ever made. He had that little, oh, I don't know. I am so sorry that I have disappointed my friends and my family. Why don't you put that thing down and do what you're best at, and that is being off the cuff. If I had been Anthony Weiner, I would have said, look at me. And if you haven't seen that high school picture that's floating all over the internet, I highly suggest that you go look at that thing too and check out the fright wig. It looked like a crotch wig that he was wearing on his head. And I don't know, I think he's adorable, but I can understand how he probably got the shit kicked out of him in gym class. And if that's not enough, your last name's Weiner. That's why I don't like Ducey. I think that the C is really a hard, like romance language, a hard Italian C. I think his last name's Dookie. But anyway, back to Weiner. That is not who you are, dude. Why don't you just say, look at my picture in high school, and now that I'm somewhat famous, and his personality was just so funny and so good. Remember John Boehner? Yeah, right, sure, your last name's Boehner. It's Boner. Own it, bro. Well, I would have just said, I've been a nerd all my life. And now I'm starting to get the attention of women who never would have paid attention to me in high school. And I realized I just got married, but I also didn't realize that I needed this gratification so bad. It's like Tiger Woods. I mean, he's nothing but a big commercial for veneers, which everyone needs to get their big stupid teeth taken out. I realize Tiger Woods can't help his rack, but like Taylor Swift, girl, get those teeth out of your head. You can't even close your little mouth. Get those teeth, or get them shaved down, or do something. Slap those things on a belt sander, get rid of them. I hate fake teeth. Hillary Duff, I mean, she was absolutely fine, and then she came out looking like Seabiscuit. Not okay. And I think she got hers belt sanded, slapped those on a belt sander, and took care of that too. But back to Weiner. Why not just be honest? That's why I always said if I were the president, I would get rid of the person writing the speeches and say, you know what, you kind of elected me so that you could hear my thoughts. And I just would refuse to read off a teleprompter. I absolutely adore Chris Christie because he's like that. He doesn't need any of that. I don't understand why you do. If you're halfway decent at your job, you shouldn't need to read something. Should you? Well, I guess the answer is yes, but not in my party. Which, I'm not a member of any party. Like George Carlin said, what a president he'd have made. Oh man, George Carlin, he was my idol. Now, all my little sphincters, I say I wouldn't get excited over a celebrity, but I missed my sister's rehearsal dinner because I had tickets to Carlin back when I lived in Shreveport, and she nearly disowned me, and I just couldn't help it. It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission, and I'm so glad I did because that was the only time I ever saw him. But he said, you know, I have this weird thing I do called thinking for myself, and I'm not a member of any party because my beliefs are like a cafeteria tray. You pick and choose what you want on your tray, and some of those dishes are conservative and some of those dishes aren't. I can't say I'm conservative because I'm not, even though I have conservative values because my parents and most people that I grew up knowing in my life just grew up conservative and church going, and so that's the way I grew up in the South in Shreveport, Louisiana. But my belief system is all mine, and I think that abortion should be fucking necessary for some people. If you already have one kid and it's in the foster care system, we're going to neuter you until you get your shit together. You don't need to be cranking out babies, you know, like the little Play-Doh spaghetti thing. Some people are just cranking them out. Just cranking them out. Or if you get caught not being a good parent or even committing something criminally, You don't need to send them away. Just cut their shit off. Say you want to go to jail for the rest of your life, or do you want to do 10 years and we'll cut your little nuts off? I'd choose the nut cutting myself. I'd say take my ovaries, have them. Just go do what you want with them. Just make sure you give me some hormones in here so I don't grow back hair. Because, that'd be a bitch to cornrow now, wouldn't it? Have somebody behind you. You see people like Friday. Yeah, you better get yourself some hormones if you get any kind of ovary issues done. So back to, where was I? Oh yeah, making it mandatory for some people to either get abortions or get neutered. It's called chlorinating the gene pool. And I would just change everything. I'd legalize weed because that would shut down. If you just legalize drugs, that's why I love Ron Paul. He's Mr. Stossel. He's Mr. My rights end where your rights begin. I mean, I don't care if you prostitute yourself out. It's a victimless crime. As long as you're not chasing me around with a dildo and a baggie of crack, have at it. And with drugs, I mean, if you want to kill yourself with drugs, have at it. Cirrhosis is not a rare disease. And the little prohibition, Amendment 18, how well did that work out for you? Y'all were just missing out on the tax money. And then, 21, put it back again. And that's the same thing with weed. I mean, nobody ever robbed a convenience store and shot the clerk because they wanted more weed. That's all stuff that, all that generation in Congress is dying out. All the people who don't understand that it's not a fucking hit of acid. It's the same thing as drinking a beer. And if I were president, I think a bong hit would be mandatory, so all these people will calm the fuck down. Everybody's so sensitive, and they get offended so easily that, you gotta do a bong hit and just calm the fuck down. So, victimless crimes, prostitution, a little bit of weed. I mean, I don't care if you do coke or whatever you do. I just say tax it like you do cigarettes, and we'll get ourselves out of this economic slump real fast. But you know what? They are not going to legalize pot because all the pharmaceutical companies, you want to talk about some sphincters tightening in fear? Then what would happen if you legalized weed? Everybody would take a puff, and then you wouldn't need your bevy of pills anymore, your restless leg syndrome pills. Really? Restless leg syndrome? I read Little House on the Prairie books, and I know that sounds corny, but I read them to remind myself about who my ancestors were and the pioneers here. And, you had a musket with powder in it, and you better shoot that bear the first shot, or else that thing's going to come over, and, you're going to be bear shit in the woods instead of it being your shit in 3 days. So right now, we just get mad if our fast food doesn't come out fast enough. And you forget, these guys built houses with their hands, and they were just real men. I don't believe that you need lawyers. I think that, you look a man in the eye and shake his hand, and that's the only contract I need. And if I don't think you're trustworthy, I don't fool with you. I mean, I sign contracts in my business just like the next guy does because I don't know who I'm dealing with. But I expect a lot out of people I'm friends with. But back to just people voting a Republican ticket or a Democratic ticket just because. You don't have any idea, y'all, unless you live in the South. There's so many people who say, I'm just going to vote Republican just because. And they were willing to put up with Sarah Palin. They were just going to vote for her just because it was a Republican. And I find that, I'm offended by that kind of stupidity. And, you can accuse little Katie Couric of gotcha questions. That wasn't a gotcha question. None of those were gotcha questions. She was just vetting you to see if you were actually intelligent enough to be capable of doing the job, and you're just pissed because she found out that you weren't. And it didn't take a whole lot of digging. Not a whole lot of digging to ask you what magazines you read. You should know good and damn well which magazines are conservative. Even if you don't read them, fake it till you make it, right? And it's just so hideously stupid. I would love to be president. I would change this shit up. I'd send all the illegals home. And if you got pissed because you had a little turban on your head and so I'm paying a little bit of extra attention at you at the airport, then fuck off home. Fuck off home, because that's the way we roll over here. Y'all were a little bit of a problem about 10 years ago. And y'all have been a little bit of a problem ever since. And so if you don't like it, don't fucking come into this country and stay home. And just be pissed and scream at the wall, for all I care. You just have to just stand up to people. Don't be so afraid that someone's going to run after you and label you a bigot or label you a racist. Who the fuck are you? You don't know me. And anyone who slaps down the race card does it because they don't have a legitimate complaint. They don't have a legitimate complaint. Because if they had a legitimate complaint, they wouldn't have to resort to the race card. That's just the easiest card to pick up and the easiest one to frighten white people with. And I don't buy it. You don't like it? Get out. You want a mosque built right next to 9/11, and you have all these people saying they have a right to be here? Why don't you go home and just walk into an existing mosque? Because even in Tennessee, they're building some mosque there. Fuck your stupid mosque. Go home, dickhead. There are too many foreigners in this country anyway. We have bent over so far backward it would cripple a goddamn contortionist. And if I were president, I'd grow the ovaries to say all that stuff out loud in front of a much bigger audience than the few of you who are watching this on YouTube. And also wouldn't be scared. Call me what you want. Doesn't matter. I'm going to call you out on what you are. And that is a big phony who's lucky you're here, and you wouldn't even be here if your country was so great. And if you want the American dream, why don't you take some notes on how we're rolling over here and then go home and make it happen in your own goddamn country? Ooh, I bet that would incite a riot. And I don't care. This is Charlotte Rice. Got any questions? You know where to find me.